Good morning. This is my Unit 4 journal for professional public speaking. I'm going to bring up my notes as I've learned that I do better when I have notes. So, excuse me if you see that I'm reading. Um, the first thing I wanted to talk about was fact versus opinion. And a fact is something that can be researched and supported through that research, versus an opinion is something that the speaker themselves think about the information that they're presenting to the audience. The next thing is opposing viewpoints in my research. And I hadn't done that before this class. I just kind of, I guess, sought out the topic I was looking for, and once I had found that information through a reliable source, I just kinda went with it. Now I think more about, okay, can I look up information about the other viewpoint to, in a way, support the other viewpoint? So knowing both sides is, something that I find I'm doing more of since being in this class. 3 tips that I'm going to be using moving forward is I kinda touched base on that, is the credibility of the author. In last week's unit, we did an exercise about whether or not we should use an article based on the information that we found on the website, and I had no idea that that was a thing. So now I know that if I'm going to be using an article, I first, obviously, I read the article, and then second, I stop for a minute and do a bit of research regarding their education, their background, and I guess what they do currently is important too, just to see if they're credible, and if they're still in that field and they're gathering new information, current information that is going to be important to put out there. So definitely, I'm researching their credibility. Using statistics, I didn't know that statistics could be so tricky. Last week, we also talked about using a point number, so 36.5 people. Using statistics like that make it difficult for the audience to really visualize that half a person, which I didn't think about before. So, using whole numbers when using statistics, and let's see, it's going to help connect with the audience if I can somehow put the statistic together with something that's going to help me build rapport with my audience. So if I'm talking about family and family statistics, I want to somehow connect that information to the audience. It's not just a number to them. I have to make sure that they're connecting, or they're just going to say, okay, she's using some boring statistic. Um, let's see, using examples, I found that I was really good at the personal examples. We did an exercise about what our communication style is, and it turns out mine is connecting through personal experiences. I think that's um, a positive and a negative. Staying on track with a personal experience and keeping it focused on my subject, I think I need to work on, but I do succeed, I think, pretty well in connecting personal information with the audience. And the last one that I would like to touch base on is knowing when to use hypothetical examples for sensitive topics. Um, I never considered, again, before this class, that some of these topics are really, really sensitive to people in the audience. So if I'm doing a seminar on addiction and someone just lost their child to an addiction disease, I may want to steer clear of the personal experiences and keep it more hypothetical. So they can still get that information and not be nearly as emotional when connecting through a personal experience. And this kind of goes with that, choosing an appropriate time and place for these seminars or the presentations. And an example of that would be like I wouldn't present information on September 11th about reducing police and firefighters' presence in New York City. It's not appropriate, it's rude, and I could very likely have people who lost a spouse, a child, a parent in 9/11. So being sensitive to that, I think, is also really important. And that is my journal for Unit 4. Thank you.